Sarah, these stories that I've been telling tonight about flight attendants and including death of flight attendants, I think surprised people in that they just assumed that a business that depends on safety so urgently all the time would have been thinking about how to preserve the safety inside the cabins of these airliners.
Mm-hmm. Well, from the beginning, we have not had the kind of coordinated response that you would normally have from the government to give good policies to the airlines to put in place to stop the spread of a communicable disease at the door of transportation. And of course, this has overtaken us, and this is the largest crisis that we have seen in over 100 years. So there are characteristics of this that are much greater than any other time. But still, we have not had the attention to getting the proper PPE and protections and notification to crew and testing that's necessary to have in place a good plan to stop spread through aviation. And now it is into our communities, and it may be very clear in that case that the coronavirus was contracted from that flight. It seems very specific to that. But we also have approximately 100 flight attendants who have tested positive for coronavirus, and it is no longer even, we can't even say for sure that this has happened at work because it is so pervasive in all of our communities. And flight attendants not only travel on planes, but they often take public transportation to work, transit through that airport, go where they could be coming in contact with the virus.
So JetBlue now says you must wear a mask to be on a JetBlue flight. American Airlines is handing out masks, but it's optional whether the passenger uses the mask or not. What should the rules be inside the aircraft?
Look, here's the problem, Lawrence. What should be happening is that every single essential worker on the front lines should have an N95 mask every single day that would actually protect them. That is not even available to our healthcare professionals. And so what we know from scientists is that we need to make sure that every single person in a public area, and this is guidance from the CDC, should be wearing a face cloth or covering, because that's not necessarily going to protect you, but it's going to protect the people around you. And if everyone else participates in that activity, then we're all going to be safer. So there needs to be a mandate from the federal government that all throughout transportation, when you get to that airport door, you need to have a face covering over your face, whether that's a mask or some other a bandana or something else. And every single person needs to be required to be wearing that. Now, I want to applaud JetBlue because they got out in front. And normally these policies and these guidelines would be coming from the government. But absent that direction, they are setting a tone for the industry. And I implore their colleagues around the industry to follow the lead of JetBlue and make sure that this is standard across the industry, because we cannot wait one more day to act when this government has totally failed us.
And what about seating on the aircraft? I mean, some airlines have said we're going to limit how many middle seats we sell. But shouldn't they just exclude that? Like we're not selling middle seats anymore at a minimum?
Look, here's part of the problem is that this crisis came over us so quickly. And of course, we've talked many times about what we had to do just to stabilize the industry. But what we also did with that financial package in stabilizing the industry is there was language that said that we needed to continue essential service. We needed to get medical professionals to the hotspots to help contain the virus. We needed to move goods and services to all of our communities. But what that also says is that only essential travel should be happening right now. And so now, as we're taking steps to try to cut back the spread through aviation, because none of this has been mandated, we need to make sure everyone's wearing masks, and we need to have social distancing policies on the flight. So this is what airlines can do as well, is not selling seats in specific areas.